Liam Lawson has had yet another monstrous debut for the second time in his career, as in the first race after the long-anticipated return, he managed to finish P2 and scored 2 crucial points in the battle with Haas in the Constructors' Championship. With Perez underperforming yet again while Tsunoda was out of the points, is this what Red Bull needed to see from Lawson, who started 19th and still finished in the points, in order to replace Perez? It's safe to say that the 2025 seat in Red Bull has gotten more heated after Austin, because now that Perez has underperformed yet again, finishing behind Russell at P7, even though the Mercedes driver started from the pit lane, there will be a lot of battle now between Lawson and Tsunoda to prove who can take on the torch and be Verstappen's teammate from 2025 onwards. There is no denial that the Mexican driver is now seriously in the hottest seat on the grid because of how Ferrari have managed to creep in just 8 points behind Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship after a dominant 1-2 win in Austin. And Marco believes that things have now got pretty serious regarding the lineup of Red Bull from 2025 onwards. The veteran Austrian knew what Lawson was capable of doing, and that is why he is now more than adamant that he deserves the seat in Red Bull. However, he said more or less the same thing for Tsunoda a couple of days ago too. The situation is crystal clear. These two will battle it out on the grid to see who is the better competitor next to Verstappen. And after the latest race in Austin, we've now got a pretty clear picture that Lawson's show in 2023 wasn't pure luck. It was a result of his hard work and dedication. When talking about Austin's outcome, Marco said, "A really great debut. That was already apparent in Q1, where Lawson drove the third fastest time. He was in control at all times and had great overtaking maneuvers. You have to put the youngsters in the car and then it works. He is definitely a man for the future." Furthermore, Marco went on to address the rumours about Perez's retirement at the next race in Mexico, something that Perez himself has denied with his infamous X post, as the veteran Austrian continued, "It's a rumour. Perez himself says there is no truth in it. Let's see, but he has to improve his performance." The situation doesn't really look that great for Perez, because while his teammate was able to hold on to the third place in the race, marginally by defending against Norris for the majority of the race and then capitalising on the 5-second penalty that the McLaren driver received, Perez spent the majority of the race in a no man's land. What hurts him the most is the fact that he finished behind Russell, who started from the pit lane and had some fierce fights with Tsunoda, yet another protagonist to take his place in Red Bull from 2025 onwards. Horner himself stated that there shouldn't be any doubt that the team will need 2 strong performing drivers from the next season, given the fact that even the Drivers' Championship is not a secured lock, especially now that Hamilton will drive for Ferrari and the Maranello team seems like they've sorted everything out with their car's performance. This is why Horner is also full of praise for Lawson, stating that even though he is just 22 years old, he managed to drive like a veteran, and that is definitely something that weighs a lot towards whether or not he will be part of the senior team from 2025 onwards. Furthermore, Horner said, "I think Lawson can be very happy with that drive today. I thought he drove a great Grand Prix. I mean, starting 19th, finishing in the points with some great overtakes, he should be pleased with that. He is a tough, hard racer. It is a sample of one, and I thought he jumped in and he looked like a veteran, to be honest with you. Lawson is a great racer." Lawson himself said that he didn't believe points were available to score this weekend after starting last from the grid, and when talking about how it went down, the Kiwi driver said, "I definitely didn't expect to score points. Honestly, not after where we were starting and also just after the sprint race on Saturday. I think we struggled a lot, and although we made a big step with the car yesterday, you never know. In a race, it's completely different. We don't know if it's going to work exactly as we planned. So to have a clear step in quali and in the race with the car is really positive for me. It's always nice when you're the overtaking car as well, which we were in the race, and I think it was just that hard stint at the start that really put us in a great position. Lawson. The situation, however, will be highly anticipated not just from Tsunoda, who received a boost from Honda to have a tryout in Red Bull machinery, but also from Perez, who does look like he wants to continue in the sport for at least one more year. Even though Sergio stated that it would be important for him to watch out for his family and spend more time with them, hence the reluctancy to continue from 2026 onwards, he knows that once he is gone from the sport, finding a seat in the next couple of years will be more or less impossible. And Lawson himself believes that the 2025 Red Bull seat is not easy to catch now that the team has proven to be extremely hard for rookies and newbies who are trying to prove that they have what it takes to bring more value next to Verstappen. When talking about his chances to drive in a blue suit next year, Lawson said, "I think it's really far-fetched, honestly. The goal set is the same as it has been since I was 17 and I joined the program. Obviously, Yuki has done a very good job in recent years, and especially this year. He is the reference point for me to compare myself to. He is the only one who has the same car as me, so I will be directly compared to him. I suppose their goal or expectation is to be alongside him on the grid and during the race. At the very least, competing with Yuki is the goal that has been set." But if we're to look at the race in Austin, the masterclass of tyre preservation and staying out longer on the medium compounded tyre helped Lawson in his quest of scoring points, although they came at the expense of Hamilton retiring and the clash that happened in turn 1 that he luckily avoided. Be that as it may, he showed great maturity with his overtaking manoeuvres, and whether we like it or not, this man might be the hope that Racing Bulls currently have in the battle for P6 in the Constructors' Championship. It's evident that a performance like this puts him high on the list of potential replacements for Perez, because this is exactly what Red Bull needed to see from his first race. A strong start, stable race and ability to overtake in order to be seated next to Verstappen. The stakes are going to be very high because to beat Verstappen, you would have to be an extraordinary talent. But for a driver like Lawson, the goal would be not to overstimulate himself and just keep close to the three-time world champion as much as he can. As all things stand, unless a really bad disaster happens for Verstappen, he will win the 4th championship, which would give him further boost to push towards a 5th one and pass Vettel in the Red Bull's list. This would make things even more complicated for Lawson, who, as I mentioned earlier, will have a lot of competition from Tsunoda, as the Japanese driver has shown on many occasions throughout Austin why he failed to receive the call from Red Bull when it was needed the most. The spin at turn 1, as well as his outburst when he exited the pits behind Lawson, is exactly what Red Bull doesn't need at times like this. But still, the goal of Honda is loud and clear. We need Yuki in the Red Bull seat sooner rather than later. When talking about it, the sporting director Koji Watanabe said, "Regarding Tsunoda, our goal is for him to work hard and secure a seat at Red Bull Racing. We believe he has the talent. Of course, driver decisions are ultimately up to the team, but as a partner, we've strongly requested that Tsunoda be given the chance to drive and test in a Red Bull car. We want to at least give him the opportunity to showcase his ability. I've also spoken directly with Horner about this. He hasn't ruled it out. Nothing has been decided yet, but I think we need to proceed properly. If all goes well and Tsunoda's abilities are recognised, I believe he could remain with Red Bull beyond 2026 and compete for championships." This goes to show that while Honda is leaving Red Bull for their next endeavour with Aston Martin, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will take the driver that came out of their academy. Tsunoda's goal is loud and clear, and after beating De Vries and Ricciardo in the same machinery, he might find a tougher nut to crack here with Lawson. With all this in mind, do you think that Lawson deserves the Red Bull seat after an amazing race in Austin? And more importantly, do you think that his streak of good races will continue in the remainder of 2024, which would give Red Bull more to think about when it comes to that second seat? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're interested in the FIA's inconsistency regarding the process of dishing out penalties in Austin that aggravated the F1 world, have a look at the video that's appearing on your screen right now.